I think Bitcoin's bringing that back, but a lot of people will disagree. Uh, Even Bitcoiners will disagree, which is that's what it's about. I mean, why else do you go out and try to earn money? Like, what are people really trying to do with their life if they're not trying to improve their life all the time? It's this weird saying there. But again, I guess it's that way of looking at life. You go out and you struggle to earn money, and that's what's expected of you. That's what's, well, you're a good person if you go out and struggle and accept it all and don't question it. And we all have a story, don't we, as to how we came to Bitcoin. And I always like to say though that I was always looking for Bitcoin. So it wasn't really a specific path. I think I'd just always been on that path. So it began with music, and the music led me to Bitcoin. And I guess, Bitcoin's leading me to all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's kind of led me back to music. It's kind of led me to chocolate, and it's kind of led me in a way back to the spiritual, philosophical, um, metaphysical world as well, which I had sort of started on that journey a little bit in university, but I didn't really explore it the way I'm exploring it now, and I'm really excited, and I'm just really like my world is full of wonder. I like to, we use the word wonderful, and we forget that it's actually the word wonder filling or full of wonder. And I think having wonder in your life, it's another thing that Bitcoin has really brought back for me. Um, Music and yeah, philosophy, but Bitcoin is just full of wonder, and that's I think that's a really it's a blessing to sort of have in your life, wonder, I think. But yeah, I mean, I can start start at the beginning, or where would
Yeah,
you
start
like
at
me
the
to?
beginning. Yeah. Yeah. Where are you
Yeah,
originally from? I think you're Australian, eh? Or New Zealand?
yeah. I
Where
was
you
born
living
in this.
now?
I was born in Australia. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I sort of spend my time between Australia, the UK. I'm not based anywhere at the moment. So I'm in the UK at the moment. I'm not based anywhere specifically, really. I mean, I spend as much time as I can in El Salvador, and you know, places um places I think looking like they are adopting Bitcoin, and that's I think that's a really special thing to be a part of. So I tend to go, I'm wherever Bitcoin is happening, I'm
You're a
going.
free bird, though, aren't you? You're free.
Yeah,
Your
yeah,
humans are
yeah,
free. And that's what people don't understand about what we've discovered as
yeah,
well. A
yeah.
lot of people are locked down in their countries and they can't do what we can do. You know?
It's a mindset, man. Bitcoin is that liberating tool, but you can also just look at Bitcoin on your screen, which I was doing for a little while as well, and just seeing it as a figure on the screen and thinking, oh, well, one day I'll use that Bitcoin. But if you're not actually using the liberation that Bitcoin gives you right now, um, it's a bit sort of meaningless, a bit sort of pointless. So but that was a big learning curve for me in itself. And then funnily enough, I had to lose my Bitcoin to see how important it is to be using my Bitcoin now for my life right now. But that's another story. But
We can touch on
actually,
that later on, how that
yeah, yeah.
happened. Yeah, because everybody talks about it,
Yeah,
different
yeah. Well,
things.
we all have this ride, don't we? We all have uh this living, losing sort of roller coaster ride that we go on with Bitcoin. And it humbles us. It really truly humbles us. And I think that's why, stack sats and stay humble. It's such a powerful meme and such a powerful way of expressing Bitcoin. It's probably, yeah, one of the most powerful things because it brings us back to the humility of just appreciating the basic things in life. And how humble is it just to stack Satoshis, like to count Satoshis? It's in a world of excess and bullshit, as we were talking before, commercialism and consumption and all of this bollocks that goes on in the fiat world. And all we do as humble Bitcoiners is just stack those sats, and it shows us the real world and how truthful and how appreciative and how authentic we can be, just appreciating just the stuff that just doesn't cost anything. It's just, you know, it's just such a beautiful life as a Bitcoiner. So, and it never ends. This is the thing. It's just like, it just seems to, I seem to think I'm going to wake up one day and just think, oh, wow, that was really cool. What happened to that? But no, it's still here. It's still going. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. It's only starting. Yeah.
it's only
Imagine what
start.
it's going to be like in 100 years or 500 years out.
It's
You know,
just, yeah,
before I discovered Bitcoin, I'd be thinking maybe 2 or 3 years. Then I started thinking 10 years when I discovered it, say maybe 2 years ago, which was about 2 years into my journey.
yeah,
Now I'm thinking 100 years out.
it's beautiful.
I'd never fathomed thinking like that before. Never.
Yep, yep,
But
yep.
a lot of people say like you want to live in the moment. You know, but what is living in the moment? That's the whole thing. What is living in the moment? What, to get material things? You can only live in one house. You can only
Hmm.
drive one car at a time. You can
Hmm.
only sit on one chair at any one time, you know?
So well said, man. Yep, yep. Living for the now. It's something yeah, Bitcoin, it focuses your attention in a way that's so specific and so beautiful. And I don't know, could you say that fiat caused us to think in a completely different way, and that's what drove so much of us away from that simple stuff. And I don't know. I sometimes I think though that there were people previously who were able to see the reality of things, and there were Bitcoiner kind of ideals in the world already. It's
Yeah, there
just that,
was. The world has changed big time in the last couple of years. And in
right,
the last very short years, like probably
yep,
50 or 60 years, it's
right,
changed so much.
right,
Yeah, but I'm starting to realize now that that was just down to the fiat system and
yep,
what it taught us, and it made us more hungry, more greedy. I mean,
yep,
the community that we're after finding now, the Bitcoin community, is just something else that,
yep, yep.
there's so much time for each other and they can help each other. And you reach out to somebody that's across the world, and
Mm,
you're all of a sudden you're talking on Zoom or helping
mhm.
each other. How can I help you? How can we?
Yeah,
I mean, we're not looking for anything off each other. We're just seeing helping other people.
I think it's that open source idea. It literally is born in the idea that Satoshi gave us something for free, unconditionally, and that ethos literally spreads out across the whole of the network. And so everything we come to think about in Bitcoin has that as a basis that I've been given, and now I'm going to give to others. And the irony of that is that it's the best gift you can give to yourself when you give unconditionally. There's something beautifully rewarding and beautifully gratifying about giving unconditionally. And you can't get that uh if you're always expecting, some kind of return. It's crazy though, because I think in 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 the world we live in, we do need a source of income, right? I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. But what that income is isn't always it isn't always measurable in a way. And I think that's what Bitcoin, and this is why Bitcoin is the Trojan horse, because it sort of it becomes it's well, it starts to make us look at how value can be measured not only in a practical physical way, but in a metaphysical, intangible, metaphysical way as well. And that's what the philosophy side of things of Bitcoin that I've been attracted to a lot recently. And it and it's such an important thing. And I think it's what I think is the true that well, I mean, there are multiple ways of expressing Bitcoin, but I think this duality of Bitcoin is so important as humans to recognize, because we do live in a dualistic world. And as humans, we have this psychological, metaphysical side to us that if we just completely ignore and just think of the physical stuff all the time, we start to become unbalanced. And this is, that's why I do these chocolate making workshops, and that's what I think is present in cacao as well, is this balancing of the human being. And I think we had a lot of those balancing attributes, in previous generations. They were much more balanced. They were able to, see humanity as in all of its in its wholeness, so to speak. So um, things like basic things like health and um, a sense of identity, a sense of culture, a sense of relationship uh between you and the other was way more respected back then. Um, and we've lost a lot of that. And is it because of fiat? I mean, there could be many things at play there, but fiat does seem to be that main driving force. That fiat is all about well, firstly, it's all about concentrating on money, right? So it concentrates on the measurement of society. It concentrates on the measuring of um, possession. So accumulating possessions, whether it's you know private property or whatever, uh, it concentrates on accumulating accreditation. So, and this is where the whole idea of privilege comes in. All of these concepts are what I like to call fiat constructions in a way, and they get us focusing on things that are not invaluable, but to focus on them solely and primarily, it just means that we forget about the really important, well, we forget about the human side of things, which is our health. I think our health gets compromised a lot. I think our sense of identity, our sense of belonging gets compromised a lot more and more in fiat. And that affects how we have relationships in the world. And that affects, whether it's our security, our courage, our bravery, all these things are, we start to lose a sense of humanity if we focus on the wrong thing, and then we start to lose humanity. And I think Bitcoin's bringing that back, but a lot of people will disagree. Uh, Even Bitcoiners will disagree, which is interesting. But yeah,
Disagree with you. I think we have lost our way,
yeah,
and it's just part of it is from I think from the fiat system because
yeah,
everybody has to work harder
yeah,
to spend more time, spend more energy, go to
yeah,
work, and
yeah,
produce more fiat to get the same things that we used to be able to get years ago. Like I remember when I was growing up, my dad could go up, he could go out. One person uh, would just be working in the house. My mother would be looking after us. She loved that. Yeah. There was the whole family values that were there about keeping the family together and doing things at the weekends. A lot of parents now have to work the weekends as well. They have to have two jobs. The two parents are out. Then the system comes in and takes over the children. Yeah. And starts conditioning them from an earlier age through crashes and everything. And they're getting them earlier and earlier and earlier. And thank God I've copped onto that now for myself. So I think Theo's going to be a different child. We're going to have a different bringing up for Theo. We're not going into that system with him. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
you met Theo, you've seen the way he is. He has a mind of his own. And yeah, and the energy that he has. And I don't want that to get damaged by the system because I
Mm.
know now what the system
Mm.
can do. I've
Mm-hmm.
done a lot of work myself and I
Mm-hmm.
understand what's going on.
Mm.
A lot of people that are still trapped in that still don't get it the way you and me get it. And a lot of us Bitcoiners do get it now.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. There's a lot there as well
It's
about a lot of people haven't got any self-love for themselves. You need to love
mm-hmm.
yourself before
Mm-hmm.
you can love others.
100%. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's literally quite systematically kind of beaten out of us, as Princey says. It's a system that has been built up over, over 100 years, I guess, and it's all about consumerism. It's all about creating essentially uh, people who just do what they're told. It's just as simple as that. It's this hierarchical system. People that do what they're told, they don't question things. They're not taught to question things. They're taught to
Sit
basically,
down, put your
yeah,
finger in your mouth, shut
yeah,
up, put your hand
yeah,
up, you want to go to the toilet. It
yeah.
starts early. It starts early. The conditioning
Very,
starts early, but most people can't see it.
they can't because they're taught that if I regurgitate this stuff well enough and if I repeat it well enough, that's what I get rewarded for. I don't get rewarded for thinking outside the box and questioning the system and you would think that universities actually were places where people could think outside the box. It's actually not true at all. You're taught to regurgitate, and the better you can copy what's been said, the better you do, and you're just trying to get in bed with the people of power. That's all you're trying to do in university. It's sickening. It's absolutely sickening. You would think that people were thinking, you know, uh, differently there, but it's terrible.
It's worse there. It's worse
It's
there.
actually worse. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and people don't realize. You know this on graduation when they have these square hats and they
right,
wear them. Yeah,
right.
it's in a box. It's square. It's square like a box. You're stuck in a box, and when you
Yeah,
take it off and they throw it away, that means you're supposed to be coming out of the box. But really, no, the damage has been done already, and you're
no,
not going to
no,
come out of that box
no.
unless you really do find something else, or you find another way, or
Mm,
another system. We
mm,
found a system. We're out of
mm.
that box. Our minds are out of that box. We're open minded. We can see what's going on. You know, a lot of Bitcoiners can actually see what's coming as well.
Yep,
Yeah, from all the
yep,
research and all the stuff we're looking at.
yep.
I never took the time to learn about macro stuff, macroeconomics. Yeah, but I'm now looking at everything that's going on.
Yep,
Yeah, so I
yep,
can see now what's coming to Ireland, what's coming to Europe.
yep, yep, yep.
So it's just helping me and helping my family, and I'm just trying to help others as well. Same as you. You're on your
Yeah.
journey with your music and your cacao. You know, tell us a little bit about the ceremony that you do, and well, a little bit
Mm.
about the music, and then so let's go back a little bit, okay? Because we
Sure.
just went off there a little bit. So about yourself, you started off in Australia, you came to the UK,
Yeah,
yeah. How did
yeah.
you get into music? What were you doing before? I hear you
Mm.
have a twin brother as well. Tell us a
Yeah,
little bit
yeah.
about that. Done a bit of research.
Yeah, well, you know, being a twin actually it's a great thing, and he's an actor, and he kind of got a little bit of recognition early on as an actor, and I guess I'd found music and really wanted to pursue that, but I kept getting recognized as this actor, which was great. It was fun, but I kind of needed a bit of space from that. So I thought, you know what, I'm gonna head to London. Everyone speaks English there, and I don't have to, you know, I'll never get recognized there. It turns out I did get recognized there a couple of times as well, but it was totally fine. You know, it's not no
What
like
year was
books.
that? What year did you come to the UK?
2006.
All right.
So
Okay.
I've spent a good, I spent roughly about 15 years in London
Hmm.
teaching music, being in bands. I loved it. London was just great. Um, and really that's how I stumbled onto Bitcoin, you know. So music was my first love, but I think the music industry was just full of bullshit. And
Hmm.
I very quickly, it I very quickly realized that I wasn't going to be successful in a music industry like that because I just can't be full of bullshit the way they would expect me to be. Um, and so searching outside of that box, funnily enough, I came across Imogen Heap, who was I'm pretty sure she's American. I'm not, but anyway, she was playing around with Ethereum at the time and smart
Hmm.
contracts and releasing an album on a smart contract and having people.
What year was that?
That was 2015.
All right.
That's the
Okay.
first time I heard about. Well, actually, I didn't actually hear about it. So she released it and nothing happened. I think that was in 2015, but I didn't hear about it until 2017. Uh, and then next to her videos on YouTube or whatever was, of course, Andreas Antonopoulos. And I was like, hang on, what's this guy all about? And, and that's when it started. Just need to see one or two of his videos. And I was like, oh God, what is this Bitcoin thing, man? And that was my rabbit hole. Really, that was my rabbit hole journey that began there with Bitcoin. But the thing is that, I was primed for it. Like I was not really accepted in the music industry. I didn't really have, you know, I would say mainstream kind of friends. I was interested in conspiracy theories. I was interested in, um, you know, what this thing taxation is. It just didn't make sense to me. The monetary system didn't make sense. What I knew about it, it was always confusing, always confusing. Financial jargon, just always, I was like, why is inflation even needed, right? Like, what is this thing? It just never made sense. So, and of course, yeah, just anti, unfortunately, anti-government sentiment was just, my dad is from Iraq originally, and he came to Europe early. He was a musician studying in Budapest, and he left Iraq. So he was brought up as a Muslim, but just really, really disliked anything religious. And so he sort of spent most of his younger life in Budapest. Um, and he loved, well, I mean, at the time, Budapest was really communist, but he was doing all kinds of weird things like smuggling gold and buying cars in Germany and bringing them back to Hungary. And he was this real no borders kind of trading kind of
Yeah,
dude.
just an entrepreneur in his
He
own
was an
heart, a wheeler
entrepreneur,
dealer. Yeah, he was making
absolutely.
money.
And
That's it.
he loved that life. And so when he and my mum came to Australia, and all of a sudden there was all this regimented sort of regulations and taxation and all this stuff. And he's like, man, what's this all about? Ironically, my dad is not a Bitcoiner, but he is a Bitcoiner in the way he lives, but he doesn't trust the computer side of stuff and the tech side of stuff. So unfortunately, doesn't get. My mum is very much into Bitcoin, and my brother as well. Now I've managed to orange pill them pretty well, so
Good. Nice.
that's cool. Uh, but yeah, so really from 2017, I became, and it's never stopped, man. Since 2017, it's just been literally pretty much everything I do and breathe. It's you know, I started writing about, like, I started creating music about Bitcoin. Probably it was a couple of years after, because it took me a couple of years to kind of work out what am I going to do in Bitcoin. I did some podcasting. Um I tried writing music, but it never really worked. It's this weird thing. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, it just seemed like, well, I asked myself, what do I really enjoy most? And I still was saying, well, it's music, you know. And I thought, well, I thought I love Bitcoin and I love music. I have to somehow marry these two things together. And that's why I just kept sort of working it. And at the time, COVID happened. And that was the big transition there where I realized, well, I can't play in venues anymore because everything's shut down. So what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to take the show on the road. And I started busking around London uh, with all my gear. And that's actually when I started thinking, well, you know what? I just gonna grab this little QR code and people can send me Bitcoin. I mean, it was on chain at the time. Lightning wasn't really happening, but I thought I'll just have a QR code and people can literally send. I'll just, as I say, I'll accept Bitcoin,
Yeah, happy
and
days.
and that actually was really instrumental in how I started performing uh, as a solo artist as well, because before that I'd always been in bands, and I slowly but surely built up a kit and basically a transportable, kit for performing literally on the street anywhere with whatever kind of uh whatever kind of sound I wanted, because I was essentially using my laptop as a um you know as an instrument. So that began, yeah, around 2020, 2021. I started performing as a solo artist, and then everything became about Bitcoin. All my music became about Bitcoin. And really it hasn't really changed. Um I just travel further to play music about Bitcoin.
So
So
where have you traveled to? Where have you been for
uh
events?
I started I so Miami 2021 was my first event. I had actually been doing stuff in London a little bit before at Bitcoin events, but it was very minimal. So 2021 was the big one for me, where I actually went overseas, took all my gear, and funnily enough, I thought, you know what, I'm going to be in the States. I've heard about this thing in Mexico, which was I don't know if you know Ugly Old Goat. He's a trader. He still trades. Um, and he'd actually put on a couple of uh, boating conferences for Bitcoiners. And he's pretty impressed with Safadine Mus. So he started the Bitcoin Standard Conference in Mexico. And
Hey,
you've frozen up there. Oh, yeah, no, you're good now. Yeah.
hello. That's
Yeah.
okay. We'll ship it
Yeah.
anyway. You're all good.
So after Miami, I thought I'm going down to Mexico. This sounds great. And you know what? That was one of the best conferences I've ever been to. It was where Satoshi Nakamoto actually began. They had this
Hey,
cover band, and Mechanic was there, and Canute, and um, Giacomo, and Mira, and it was this great night of just these covers, and we had some, and Guy and sorry, Jeff and Guy Swan were there as well. So it was this real, but and Tone and Jimmy Song and loads of uh loads of OG Bitcoiners were there, but it was only about 50. I think Shvetsky was there as well. And I think about 50 of us, and it was really intimate. And I thought, damn, these small Bitcoin events are freaking where it's at, man. Like I just come from like literally 30,000 people at in Miami, and it was I mean it was fun.
Yeah,
Uh,
I know it's different. The smaller events,
it's smaller.
feel that the smaller events are a lot more intimate and you get to meet people more, interact with people
Yeah.
better.
Mm,
That's what I found. Anyway,
mm,
some of these
mm,
big
mm.
events that are going big, big, big. You know what I mean? And as you know, I come from an event
Right.
management background.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know how the smaller events are a lot more intimate and all. And I've just seen it myself with the Bitcoin events as well. We went to recently uh, Bitcoin Atlantis, and that was really,
Right.
really amazing. And
Right.
then last year we went to Bitcoin Amsterdam, and that was a smaller event as well, like about 3,500 people, which was really, really good. Yeah, but say some of these bigger events, you just kind of,
Yeah. You get lost. It's just
yeah,
yeah. 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 So yeah, so unfortunately, the Bitcoin Standard Conference is not happening at the moment. It'd be amazing if Ugly could get that again, get that up and going again, because I think that was really special. Um, but from there, I think that first year, 2021, I must have spent like at least 4 or 5 months just traveling between the US, Mexico. Um, I did Halloween, which was the Halloween party in Charlotte with Liz, and she then started helping me out. And she's my manager now, and she just gets me gigs everywhere. I'm just you know, like this year I was in Madeira, and then went back to Australia for a bush bash and Bitcoin Alive. Um, then obviously there was the halving party stuff, so it was like El Salvador, and then Santorini, and then Warsaw, and just like Berlin, and I didn't actually go to Prague, but it's basically on the cards now that I'm going to be doing regular events pretty much every year. I think Madeira's next 2028. I think next halving, isn't
yeah,
it? So
they're putting it on. They're just going to do it every 4 years. That's what they're
yeah,
going to do. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I think it's a long time to wait, but I think it's good that some events hold out like that. Whereas, Ireland, I think if Ireland's happening every year, I think it's definitely worth it. Like
Yeah,
I think
we will be doing it every year. We will.
yeah,
We've booked a venue for next year again. That's going to be our fourth year, and we're growing it every
yeah,
year. You know, it's not as
exactly,
big as some of
exactly.
these other events, but
No,
you
but you
came, you
don't.
seen it. You know, what I mean, it was nice and intimate. You know, what I mean, you could get
Ah,
talking to the speakers. You were mingling. You were drinking in the bar. We were doing
it's
everything like,
great.
you know.
That's what an event is, though. You want to give people as much experience as possible, and I think when they get too big, you're losing experience for people. They're missing out on, like you say, the intimate stuff. And that's really where the relationships are built. That's really where the experience happens for people. So yeah, it just doesn't need to be that big, I think, for a really good event.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
doesn't you?
great. Yep.
T tell us a little bit about the workshop that you do as well, because you're doing one of them
Yeah.
at the Bitcoin Ireland event.
Oh, it was great. It was great having Sharon and Laura and yourself and
Yeah,
uh,
Patricia was there as
Dio,
well.
Patricia. I mean, it's just a beautiful, beautiful energy there. It was one of the highlights of all of my chocolate workshops, actually, I've got to admit. I think it's because of that energy there in Ireland. It was just really beautiful, man. I'm really looking forward to that again and again. Um, it's a funny journey. So from the music brought me to Bitcoin. The Bitcoin then brought me to chocolate. Or when I say chocolate, I mean I'd already been on a health journey, even before Bitcoin, and recognizing the power of chocolate, the power of cacao, and how it has been severely manipulated and, destroyed, essentially by sugar, which I like to think of as this fiat version of what's destroying our health. Fiat's destroying the monetary system, but sugar is destroying our physical system.
Poisonous.
It's
That's what it is.
poisoning. It's just
Yeah.
poison. And it's a bit like fiat in that it just gets abused. Like if we were just to have a very small amount every day, we could deal with it. But the thing is, it's cheap to make, it's easy to make, it's quick to make, and it's addictive. It's so addictive that it becomes worse than crack. It's like this terrible poisoning substance that we just abuse so badly. And that's what fiat does to our monetary system. We just abuse, we can't help it. We're just abusive creatures. So anyway, so when I realized how healthy cacao was and how balancing it is for the human being, how it has these physical properties like the antioxidants that come in and they balance your homeostasis. The nitric oxide then builds up into your blood, and that becomes this opening, this physically opening thing. And they call it a vasodilator. It literally opens your blood cells and blood vessels, and so your blood starts flowing better, and so you start to balance and regulate your blood pressure, um, and that then leads to this whole psychological opening. They call it the heart opening, but essentially it's being in a place of feel good, comfort, you know uh, a tranquilness, a calmness, a peace comes over you when you consume cacao. And the ancient Mayans recognized this stuff. And they would consume it before any kind of negotiation or any kind of, ceremony, because it literally brings you to a place of openness within yourself. And that openness then translates into acceptance of the self. It's being open is just naturally being accepting of your situation. And when you can do that and see yourself wholly and accept yourself, I like to call it the affirmation of the self, um, then you can truly start to, unconditionally accept yourself. And unconditional acceptance is love. It's just, that's where self-love comes from. And as you were saying, that everything begins with that self-love, and that then becomes abundant within yourself. And because it's coming from yourself, it's this constant renewal, constant giving to yourself. Um, that makes it abundant. And so you have it in high enough amounts, high enough quantities to be able to give to others. So, like you say, if you don't have it, you can't give it, but you need to have enough of it to give as well. And so that's where self-love actually ultimately becomes altruistic love. And that's what we need in society these days, that, and it's built into the Bitcoin ethos. Like, that's what open source means. It's open for you to have access to use however you want to use it. Um, and to actually, what's beautiful about that is that it encourages people to make things beneficial for everyone else, because that's what makes it better for everyone else. And that's what makes it more used by everyone else if it's actually better for everyone else. So yeah, open source, unconditional giving is they're the same things in my book. And Bitcoin is that ethos all the way through, all the way down the line. Um, I got off on the tangent there about cacao. Cacao is that exact same thing though. Cacao is about acceptance, about unconditional giving, and it's in the actual physical properties of cacao that enable that unconditional giving in your body because the antioxidants literally balance out the free radicals. You got these free radicals running around stealing from already balanced electrons. And what the antioxidant does, it comes in and offers a free electron to the free radical, which balances the free radical out. And that enables this balancing effect, which is why everyone's after antioxidants, whether it's green tea or red wine or chocolate, it's a balancing thing for the human, for homeostasis within the human. And I think that's what we're always looking for. Um, I talk about this stuff at the beginning of the workshop, as human beings, we live in a dualistic world. It's a world of masculine and feminine and right and wrong and ups and downs and life and death. And that's what cacao is. That's what Bitcoin is. It's this balancing of these two opposites. Bitcoin is rules without rulers, or chaos that meets the order. It's peace and revolution. It's coming together of opposites. And cacao's the same thing. Cacao is literally, in the chocolate making workshop, we're bringing the light and the dark together. We're bringing the bitter and the sweet together. We're bringing the powder and the butter together, like these two opposites coming together. And in fact, they're reuniting in cacao because they're originally separated. Um, in the original form of cacao is the cacao nib, or the cacao bean, and it gets crushed up. And the ancient Mayans would have just drunk that straight away. But the Westerners came over and said, okay, let's split the cacao powder from the cacao butter. And that's essentially how you get these two opposites. And then they added sugar, or they added, in the Mayan case, they added chili. But the Europeans thought, hey man, if you put sugar in this is brilliant. And chocolate was born. But yeah, I like to do things with stevia, which is actually what the ancient Mayans used sometimes as well. They used honey or stevia, but honey doesn't really work in chocolate. But stevia is actually an incredibly sweet thing, but it's zero sugar. So you don't get this craving.
What is stevia? Because I've never
Okay,
heard about it.
stevia is a plant, literally just a plant. It's about 300 times sweeter than sugar. So it's way too sweet to consume. And so when I buy stevia, it it's mixed with a bulking agent called erythritol, and that's what gives it the grainy sugar-like quality. But erythritol it's like stevia in that it has zero GI, so it doesn't actually create an insulin spike in you, so you don't get in any way kind of addicted to it. But it has this great sugar-like quality, and I really don't understand. I think it's because of the financial situation, but there should be a lot more sugar-free chocolate in the world. And again, it's a bit like why we don't know about money, or why we don't know about our health. We don't get exposed to this information. And so We just don't
It's
think
been
it's
it's
possible.
been it's been it's been kept from us probably, you
It's,
know. They,
you
sh-
know,
they should be less products out there with sugar and even chocolate,
I mean,
as you just mentioned. And it's
you
it's
can't find
it's,
it,
it's probably easy it's probably easy to make, but I've never really came across chocolate with no sugar in it.
right?
And maybe some that say no sugar, they probably have another additive in another
Yeah,
sweetener in it
yeah,
that's probably worse than sugar.
they do. They do. They use maltitol and sorbitol, and I think they're using that in chewing gum quite a lot now as well. And it's terrible. They call it sugar free, and yeah, like you say, it's worse than sugar. Um, no, it's really it's stevia. I use stevia and monk fruit and sometimes xylitol, but stevia is really the pure stuff. You can literally fast with stevia, which I do that quite a bit. I do a fair bit of fasting, and stevia is just brilliant. There's zero glycemic index, and it's actually really good for your teeth. It's pretty good for your gut as well. It's
Where would somebody buy that? Would they get it in a chemist or in a health store, or where would they buy it?
do you know you can buy stevia in Sainsbury's or Tesco's or wherever you are now? It's really widely available.
All right,
Um,
okay.
yeah, so I tell people about stevia as much as I can. Stevia, monk fruit's harder to get here. It's very much available in the States and Australia. I don't know why it's not happening here. So,
Maybe at some Asian shops or
so
something like that, they might have it,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
monk fruit. Because
yeah.
I've been going to a lot of more Asian shops now and buying different products,
Okay.
uh, these honey mangoes and some
Yeah,
beautiful stuff that you get there,
yeah,
that you
yeah,
wouldn't normally see in your normal
yeah,
Tesco's or your normal
yeah,
supermarket.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, so I kind of yeah, I do like to call it a chocolate making ceremony now. I think actually ever since Ireland I've been thinking because some
It
people
is
had
a
called it.
ceremony. It is a
Yeah,
ceremony. I've seen it. We done it. It is a
right.
real ceremony, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And at the one that we done in Ireland,
Mm,
probably unknown to you, there's a lot of spiritual people at that table.
mm, mm. I had no idea.
Very strong spiritual people,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
powerful, that I know myself and I've seen the work
Right.
that they've done.
Wow. There you go. Yeah, yeah. I had, and I sort of do, or was doing what I thought made sense to me, but I didn't realize it was going to make sense to so many people there. I was like, oh wow, this is really. I feel very humbled by that they were there and they gave me such great feedback and it was really beautiful, man. I
Yeah,
can't
no, it
wait
was
to do it
beautiful.
again.
Yeah, it was lovely. It was lovely. It was a lovely ceremony. And it was a ceremony, like a real
Mm,
spiritual ceremony.
mm, 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 mm,
And
mm. I've recently been thinking about the cacao ceremony itself. Um, is a more sort of I spoke a little bit with Patricia about this, and to get uh to be specific about the cacao and to only use ceremonial cacao and to you know there's this thing about how the ancient Mayans did it in a very specific way. Um, and there has been a bit of a backlash about how it's kind of impossible for us to do it in the authentic traditional Mayan way. So, and I've always thought, as Bitcoiners, we kind of do things differently and we kind of have our own take on everything. So why don't we have why don't we have a special cacao ceremony for Bitcoiners? And I actually thought, well, we actually need to call it something different as well. So I'm toying with this idea of a sacred Satoshi ceremony, um, with which would be for Bitcoiners specifically, but it's sort of with the idea of the cacao ceremony but it's very much about how Bitcoiners want to bring themselves out into the world, how they want to see the world moving into the future. And I think I'm really excited to do something like that. In Ireland, Patricia was saying she actually had a spot, and it
Mm.
could be really really something there. So
Yeah, why not? You know, if you don't talk about it, we won't know. That's how
yeah,
things start. We have to manifest it, don't we?
we
I'm
have
all
to
about
manifest.
manifesting.
Exactly,
It
exactly.
works. I know it works. You know, a
Oh
lot of
man,
people maybe watching this probably don't understand that it does work, but it does. We're
it's
made up of
incredible.
waves. We're made up of thoughts. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so
It's the power
incredible.
of attraction.
Exactly that, man. It's when you start to see things in your mind's eye, and you do have to believe it though. I think it's a state of mind, and who still don't believe it, and they still don't get it. They don't have that benefit of what Bitcoin is bringing. And that's the irony of it, is that we believe it, and so we get all the benefit of it. It's just it's kind of insane, really.
Yeah.
But and that's why people still say, it's too good to believe, because they just don't believe it. It's like I mean, it's really simple though, but yeah,
It's real. It's true. It's
yeah,
there. You
right,
know, people just have to
right,
do their
yeah.
homework on it. As I say to people, do your work. You know, it's proof of
You
work,
can't.
isn't it?
Yeah,
You put the
man.
work into it. Yeah. As as we all do, like
Yeah,
even about like money. What is money? You
yeah,
know, we
yeah.
spend probably 60 to 80,000 hours in our lives working for this thing that we get compensated, this money, and nobody'd
No
even
one.
take 100 hours to try and figure out what they're getting paid in. We were all like that though. But once
I
we
know.
seen it, we said, what have we been doing? We've been going backwards rather than forwards. And when you actually think about it, we're actually most people are going backwards.
Yeah, yeah. It's a sad state of affairs, man. But there's not, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And this is what's been going on. It's not possible unless you somehow have it in your mind that it is possible. And this is the crime of what the education system in the fiat world has led to, because it's led to us not being able to believe, and not being able to trust, and not being able to see what's possible, because all we've been taught to do is just follow the leader, and follow the science, and trust the science, and believe in
We're not going to
politicians.
everybody.
Yeah. And what can you do? I mean, some people are just stuck, man. They're just stuck. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah, maybe people need to do their work. That's what we know that, you know, and they
Exactly.
will over
Yeah.
time. And then they'll find
Yeah.
Bitcoin and they'll say, well, how
Yeah.
did I miss this? You
Yeah.
know, the same way
Because we
I
were
missed it
all,
years ago. We
yeah,
were blinded to it.
we were all there, right? We really were all there. It's not like uh before 2009, we were all sort of standing there thinking, damn it, where's this Bitcoin thing? Like we didn't know.
Hmm.
So we made the leap, and
Yeah.
it's just something other people just have to do, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And Bitcoin gets you thinking more about life,
Mm,
time, your
mm,
energy, what
yeah,
you can use,
yeah,
and how you can use your energy better
yeah.
as well. It brings a whole lot more. It's a mindset shift. That's what it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
And I was only
100%.
talking to Jeff Boots about this a few weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we were actually talking about it. And I don't know any Bitcoiners,
Mm,
right? And I
mm,
don't know about yourself,
mm.
that have found Bitcoin and then gone back to the
No,
old way.
no,
We
no,
never
no,
go back.
no.
We just keep on going forward and
Yeah,
forward.
yeah. I mean, I guess there are some who come to it, and this is the weird thing, man, because there are some who come to Bitcoin and they get it for a while, and then somehow they fall away. And they, I mean, there's been many in history, and they became quite famous or they became quite wealthy or whatever. And you kind of think, where did they go? And the only explanation for that, I guess, is that they either sort of didn't really get it, or they kind of, I don't know, they don't like what it's
They,
become, or
they
they
maybe
don't.
they just got distracted. They probably
Yeah,
didn't get it properly, and they got distracted. And
yeah,
there's a lot of shiny object syndrome out there
right,
that a lot of
right,
people
right.
we have. You
Yeah,
know, we actually have it inside us. We see
yeah,
something, we find something, we see, oh, this is amazing, and we see something else, and we jump to that, and then
yeah,
we see
yeah,
something else and something
yeah,
else. It's like
yeah,
this whole the people to be talking about diversity. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
yeah.
What's the word again?
Diversification.
Diversification. You know
That's
what I
it.
mean?
Yeah,
You need to
yeah.
diversify. You need to diversify, but you don't need to diversify. Once you get Bitcoin and you understand what Bitcoin is,
No.
you know what I mean? You're
Yeah,
onto the winner. You
yeah.
know, why would you start going on to the donkey?
It's
You
just.
see, I found a winner. I'm not going to start going on to the donkey now. I'm on the winning horse. I'm staying on it. I'm holding on for dear life.
Oh, 100%. It's just weird. But it is strange how like I don't know if you've heard, but I think Russell Brand is going to be speaking at Nashville.
You heard that, yeah?
And he's got a very interesting story. Like, he can speak about society and the world and politics. And you could swear to God, this guy is 100% a Bitcoin. I mean, he gets it so well. Like, what's there not to understand about Bitcoin? And yet, which is why I'm really worried about where Bitcoin Magazine's going altogether. But like, yet I don't think he's a Bitcoiner. He doesn't believe it. He still doesn't believe, apparently there's a story Max Kaiser gave him 1,000 coins way back when and he lost it. And you kind of think he got told about this back in 2013 or something silly like that. He got given it and he still doesn't get it. Like, I mean, what is there? Who's that other fellow? Is it Neil? Uh, he's a very good speaker. He's Scottish. Neil.
Oh, they fell out the long hair. Is it that's
Yeah,
on GMTV or something like
yeah,
that?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. He's always talking on point about society and what's going wrong and all this stuff. And you're just thinking, what's missing for you? Like, why is it that you're not advocating for Bitcoin? Is what's missing? And yeah,
Time. The time. They're not putting the time into it. You need
I
to put
guess
the
so.
time into it.
I guess
That's
so.
what you need to do. Yeah, man.
I mean,
Think about it.
yeah,
They probably haven't done 100 or 200 hours
no, no,
of anything that they're talking about, right?
yeah,
They've probably done a few hours and they've got a bit
yeah,
of knowledge and then they've
yeah,
talked to
yeah,
the different people about it. But have
yeah,
they actually really put in 200 or 300 hours? And
yeah,
that's what it takes. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It takes to put a bit of time into it.
Mm. I
I've
felt
done
that with,
thousands of hours on it now, and it's just in my
well, yeah.
blood.
Right. I mean, that's all we do. We constantly do it. In fact, we never stop doing it. It's like it's probably 4, 6 years for us now, right? Like it's just constant. And yeah, but then some people just fall away. I mean, Jordan Peterson, for example, like, he was what seemed like he was really into it. And it seems like he's not actually really into it. He's got all these fears about how it operates, and he's got his fears about AI and all these other things, and you just think, wow, man, like I thought you got it. Like what? But yeah, and it seems like Michael Saylor's having a hard time convincing other people as well. Like, you know, it's
Yeah, but
I
that's just
guess
the way it is. They'll all
yeah,
come to it. All paths will lead to it in the end. You know, maybe the
every,
pain isn't enough for them at the moment. They're not
I
feeling
guess
enough
that's
pain.
well,
When
that's
people
true.
feel the real pain, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
The people that you mentioned are quite wealthy. You know what I mean? They're not
they are.
struggling.
They're
So
not.
they're not.
That's got to have something to do with it as well. It's just not. There's not enough of a reason for them to do it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I don't know, man. I've had this sort of I don't know. I because you can't really expect it to be right for everyone too. Like, why should we just expect it to be right for people? It's really got to come from them. And if it doesn't make sense to them, well, that's fine too. I mean, you know, more Bitcoin for us, I guess. It's, you can't give it away. Like you were saying, you can't give it away.
I was away recently, man, okay, in a different country, okay, and I was talking to shop owners and business people, and they're all complaining that they're struggling and things are getting harder and harder. And I started talking about money. What is money? Do you understand that your currency is being devalued? Yeah. Okay. Have you heard about Bitcoin? Oh, no, 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 no. We couldn't touch that. Just we need cash. We want cash. And I'm saying to him, but the currency is being devalued every year. Your currency is being devalued. So you probably need, depends on your country. Well, if you're in the West, you probably have to be increasing your prices or earning an extra 20% a year, every year on year, not just 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, every year. You need to be keep on increasing that. Yeah. And increasing your prices, but they'd still run away. They said, no, let me show you how it works. No. But it's
There is
just we're just early. That's all there is. And what can we do?
mm,
Yeah, I mean, all we can do
mm,
is help and try. Keep going forward.
mm. And that's why, that I really I really think making uh a specific, a dedicated event, whether it's a meetup, a conference, a party, whatever it is, I think whatever you're doing, really, it just it's just got to feed into the everyday life kind of thing. I feel like um and making it accessible for everyone too. People still think, oh, Bitcoin's a 60K or whatever it is, 50K now, never know. Um, that's way too expensive, why would I buy that, and um I think it's when you go to an event and you hang out with Bitcoiners and you see how they're living and you appreciate their way of life, their culture, their lifestyle, and you work out really what they value. And it's a very as we were saying, it's a very humbling experience, the experience of a Bitcoiner who just appreciates the really good stuff in life. And if you don't get enough of that, if you don't get enough of that exposure in your life, then you'll always just think, oh, Bitcoiners are just these rich weirdos who never, you know, have their feet on the ground, and I mean, if anything, it's I think Bitcoiners have the most balanced way of life because they really do have their feet on the ground, but they also have their heads in the clouds, which is, they're big dreamers, but they're also realistic, and
Think we're a lot
uh,
grounded. We're a lot more grounded. Yeah,
we
man.
really
Once you
are.
find Bitcoin, you start connecting to the earth, and
Yeah,
as you said, your feet are on the ground, and you're connected more.
yeah,
But we can see as well, and we're starting to learn a lot more. We're starting to learn about macro stuff, and we're looking at all different types of things. As I said before, we got on the
yeah.
call. I would never look at all this stuff before.
No,
Yeah, man.
it's
But the last
it's
couple of years, I have been, and it's helped me really change my life.
yeah, yeah. This is where Bitcoin was born, right? It was born with the sense that this is possible. Satoshi believed it was possible. And at the end of the day, there are just so many people now who believe it that it's not really irrefutable. But there are still a lot of people in the world, and that's what it's about. I mean, why else do you go out and try to earn money? Like, what are people really trying to do with their life if they're not trying to improve their life all the time? It's this weird, like you say, man. But again, I guess it's that fiat way of looking at life. You go out and you struggle to earn money, and that's what's expected of you. That's what's well, you're a good person if you go out and struggle and accept it all and
Mhm.
don't question it. And yeah, I mean, it is what it
It
is
is
for
what
those
it is,
people.
though. It is what it is. So all we can do is, I say, help people. And so,
Yeah.
what's next for yourself, Roger? Yeah, where are you off to
Um,
next? What's the plan for
so
yourself? Because
yeah, I'm teaming up with some people here in London. So we're
okay,
getting we hopefully we'll have a gig early August. The date hasn't been set yet. And hopefully around the carnival, around the end of August, um,
mhm.
Notting Hill Carnival. And then I'm back to Australia for a bit. And then we've got Halloween in October. So I'll uh actually, what am I saying? And then before August. August is Riga. So there's Nostriga and there's Honey Badger. I think Nostriga is the 23rd and 24th, or 22nd and 23rd. And then there's Riga. And then I'm actually coming to Scotland for a Bitcoin conference in Glasgow. And
All
I'm
right,
doing a
okay.
gig there as well. Yeah. Got a gig there on the 29th. I'm playing. And then doing the chocolate workshop in on the 30 I think it's the 31st of August.
Nice, nice, nice. So you're busy. It kept going for the next 2 or 3 months anyway.
Yeah.
Happy days. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Looking
if
forward.
anybody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way
Yeah.
to get in touch with you? Do they need to book you? Or do you see you? Anyone hear some of your music?
Yeah. If you just go to roger9000.com, that's got all the links and contacts there. Um Roger9000 at getalby.com is my for anything on Nosta. Um
Mhm.
and Twitter is Roger __ 9000. That's my
Okay.
handle. Yeah. But yeah, hopefully just doing more workshops, doing more gigs. Next year's looking good. Berlin's looking good. We might even be having I don't know if you know the Prince of Serbia.
Yeah, I've talked to him. Yeah, Philippe, Prince Philippe of Serbia. Yeah.
So Prince Philippe is thinking of doing a Bitcoin music festival in Serbia
All right.
2025
Okay.
for summer
Right.
next year.
Nice.
So
Nice.
that would be great, man. I mean, maybe he could use your help in organizing that because that sounds like it could be really good.
All
Um,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Berlin.
I'm happy to help them anyway if they need any help. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I know I'm all the way over here, but I could talk to them and see what they're planning. Yeah, man. Happy to help them anyway. Yeah.
yeah,
Very
Berlin.
good.
Yeah. Berlin's looking like it could be the same thing next year as well. So
Right.
that would be awesome, man. And obviously Prague, yeah, next year. I don't know. Uh, I don't know if I'm gonna I'm just gonna be yeah. I'm just doing it all, man. I'm doing as much as I
Yeah.
can before I run
I'd
out of
say.
Bitcoin. I've got to do it
You're
all.
running the Bitcoin. You have an amazing. You need to accumulate more along the way. That's what you need to do. Stack
That's
sats.
what I need to
That's
do.
what it's all
Yeah.
about.
Yes,
Yeah, man.
yes.
But anyway, thanks for your
Yeah.
story. Amazing
Yeah.
time, and we will catch up again. And
Yeah. That'd be great.
we
I'll
will
see you in
indeed.
Ireland anyway.
You
Yeah.
will. You'll see me in Ireland next year anyway. Yeah, and we'll have
100%.
you back again next year, and we're gonna have a bigger and a
Yeah.
better event. We're growing every year, growing 50% every year at least. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Man, what happens next year?
Bitcoin
Thank
Ireland.
you.
All right,
We
brother.
will talk soon.
All right. Yeah. Take care.